You want me to bring up the minutes from last time or the?
Please.
Yeah, okay. Bear with me.
DJ, thanks for joining us.
You got it, Tom. No problem.
So are we going to just have Rick listen to the video?
He did that last time.
Okay, let's do it that way.
So we just
All
have
right,
to.
is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll so move, Tom. DJ.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Have to be Taj.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry. Yes. Second.
Okay. All in favor? Sounds good. All right, we'll keep moving. Al, can you report on the financial task force, please?
Yes, we've spent quite a bit of time over the last couple of months working with the active chapter to try and get their finances organized and in order, and in such a manner that they can move forward in a much better fashion than what they have in the last several years. I think we've made quite a bit of progress. We certainly aren't there yet. They did do quite a bit of fundraising this spring, and there's supposed to be a check in the mail for us for over $7,000 of the $7,600 they owe us. So for 2 months back rent. So that really was a real plus. They all worked together to raise that, and we've had discussions with them about the money that the alumni fronted for the active chapter to Alpha Gamma Rho to pay back dues and fees. And we did have an understanding that they will add that to their list this next year of getting that $500 a month to us as promised earlier. I think they did that 1 month. They still owe us $5,500, so we've got 11 months to go on that. But again, collectively, I think we've made really good progress. We've got, well, Joe can talk about how the collections have gone, but collections have gone really pretty darn well. And we do have 3 notes outstanding to actives that have agreed to pay by the 1st of September. They're the most severely past due, and we did get an agreement with them. We have also told them that if they don't fulfill their agreement, that they will be turned over to collections. So anyway, I think we've made good progress along those lines. We've also been looking at alumni financing and organization as going forward. If we're going to be building a house, there's a number of things that we need to start doing a little better than we have in the past. And in terms of financial records, in terms of being a little bit better organized. And so we've gone through a number of ideas and suggestions, and we've moved forward on some job descriptions for some assistant treasurers and some of those types of things. So Yeah, I think we've made a lot of progress over the last several months, and I think we have a much better understanding of not only the active's financial position and the financial lack of record keeping with the active chapter, but also I think we have a much better understanding of how our alumni association needs to be organized in order to deal with potentially a much larger project as if we go into the building of a house. So I don't know, Tom, are there things that Tom or Rick that you want to add? Maybe I forgot.
Nothing. You've covered the basis of it. With regards to the assistant treasurers, Jim remains as treasurer, and we're going to bring Dale Latz on as an assistant treasurer. And we've written some job descriptions that spell out what each of the three will be doing. We feel there's enough work to go around for everybody, and then some. So that's one aspect of it. With regards to collections and fun and going after past money, I don't see Joe on here. Is he on here, Rick?
No,
Okay. So far, we have not taken anybody to collections. We have agreements or agreement plans put forth to most everybody. Jim, did you receive a check from Levi Steinman yet?
No, I only have I believe his name's Street.
Jordan Street.
I received $959.50 about a week ago on that. So I think we're all right on, it's been in the bank and the check should have cleared okay. So I think I felt like we should wait about a week before we do anything about taking him off of the hit list with Omega 5, but he should be fine now. That plus the 135 that we got for Brian Prater, which paid his account off, came to $1,094.50 that we've collected from two people.
We guesstimate that if everybody pays the way they're supposed to, we have one individual that's going to do $100 payments. We anticipate, with some luck, that we're going to pull in between $4,500 and $5,000 of collections, and we'll be wiping off debts from about 2011, 2012 on. So some pretty good news there. Rick, what do you have? Anything you want to join us with in addition?
just we had one member drop from AGR. What was his name, Tom?
Nathan,
Nathan, yeah,
Weichman.
Whiteman. So he resigned from AGR.
From the active chapter or from the alum?
The alum. Well, he's an active. He quit AGR completely. He wants out,
That's fine.
and he was one that owed money. So
Well, then let's go after him.
What did he owe us?
Tom, I don't remember.
It was about $2,000, I think.
yeah, it's a little less than 2,000. He was one, and again, he did agree to have that paid by the 1st of September.
I think that's a great candidate for collections, if not. Al, I wanted to say that you must have got something going with the active chapter, because I noticed they had a very large bill to Omega Phi, and bang bang in about 3 payments, and it's now 0. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was pretty excited to see that happen.
I was too, because that has been a constant. It's been a constant.
Yes.
I don't know how they. I don't know how they did that. Maybe they robbed a bank. I don't know.
Well, we were pleasantly surprised. Again, they did quite a bit of fundraising this spring. They did a lot of jobs together. They painted some barns. I don't know. They did a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, they need a real. They need a real kudo. I mean, that in my mind is a real pat on the back. To do that.
Yeah, I think so too, and we certainly tried to tried to be as positive with them about that as we could.
Well, great
because
job. Great job to you and to them.
But I think that we've really shaken the bushes with them, and as far as finances go, and some of them I don't know that they're ever going to wake up, but I think there are others in that chapter now that have an understanding that this is certainly a serious part of their responsibility, not only as a chapter, but as young men growing up. And they need to accept that responsibility and do the best job they can to be good stewards of that chapter.
Great job.
And I'll say Owen Pulliam was really impressed me last meeting. The house manager,
that?
too much.
Who?
Owen Pulliam or Jerry, he goes by Owen, but his name is Jerry. He's a house manager. He was really good in the last meeting that we had.
Yes, he was.
Hey, Al,
Probably one of the best meetings we ever had.
clarification question. So payments are going to Jim, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Because there was a time you guys were asking for the founder's account information. So I just wanted to make sure I didn't mean to be tracking something.
Well, that payment plan that we're setting up with the one individual of $100 a month will come to you via Venmo.
About PayPal.
PayPal.
Yes.
Okay. Good. When is that supposed to start? Because I'm looking right now and there's no payment.
I wouldn't hold your breath for it right now. I will.
I think if I remember,
Zachary Reynolds.
yeah, if I remember that note, that was to begin June.
Okay.
June.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure I'm checking. I'm looking right now at the PayPal account, and there's 4 payments, and they appear to me, and I haven't clicked on the details yet, to all be summer meeting payments. Or summer.
Yeah,
whatever
that's
we're
correct.
calling it.
Yeah, Taj, there are four people that have paid so far.
Gotcha.
Those payments that the chapter makes go to Omega Phi and then to Jim. They don't go directly to Jim. Is that correct or not correct?
They're supposed to be. They've been going directly to me when I get them.
It's only the gentleman that's going to be on the payment plan who is going to be going to Taj for the short term. The other individuals that are doing lump sum payments, Levi Steinman, Matthew Gorzad, we're wiping him out. Tyler Prince, Zach Reynolds. I'm sorry, Zach Reynolds is a payment. The other ones will be lump sum payments.
No, I meant the active chapter payments because Bell was 4,000 to Omega Phi, and that went to Omega Phi, right? And then comes to Jim.
That's
I'm confused on that.
a point of clarification. The really old bills, the guys that are actually alumni, that money is coming either to Jim or to Taj.
Okay.
Any guys that are actives, all of that's going to Omega Phi.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep.
Okay. So that covers that. I think the next subject we're going to cover is Rick's story, Pennington providing database PR management. Can you cover that and expound upon that a little bit for the group, please?
Yeah, let me bring up what they sent me just so that I've got it here. Let's see.
How did this all come about?
That's a good question,
This
Ron.
proposal did it just drop in out of the blue, or
It
did somebody
did.
ask for it, or what?
Nope, they just called Tom. Tom contacted me and said that he had been in contact with them about this, and could I get on a call with them? And I said, sure. Let me bring this up here. And I didn't even know what I was going to be talking about, to be honest with you, until he started talking about this proposal. I had no idea. I had no idea they even did this type of thing personally. And basically, I had been in touch with Aaron before when we were looking at doing fundraising. I was on a call with him, and he talked to me because he knew I handled the database and the people, you know, who was actives and who were alumni and addresses and all of that. And so he knew what I had done for the fraternity in that respect. And then he must have found out that I do the newsletter and I do other things as well. And so he contacted me just to say, basically, what I do for the chapter, Pennington can do and does do for many other of the AGR chapters. They do handle the complete database. They do what Taj does yearly and do the yearly dues collecting. They do newsletters. They do email blasts. They do all of that. And so he went over it with me briefly, and I said, well, technically right now I don't have any intention of not doing this. I mean, we're spending about $3,000 a year with the newsletter cost that we have to pay $26 and some odd cents a month to do that, and then the websites and whatnot are kind of about $2,500 to $3,000 a year. So it's not a lot of money that we're spending right now. And if you look through the program that they present, here's the type of a crescent that they do now for other chapters. They do direct mail solicitations, biographical updates, email blasts, online giving, mailbox and deposit services, database management, custom websites, and they do it all for the small fee of $12,862 a year. So the only reason I brought this up is because it fell in my lap, and I felt I should at least present it to the board. And
Rick wants a raise.
no, yeah, no, I'm very happy doing what I'm doing. And my thought was more or less, at some point, if I can't do this anymore for whatever reason, there's an alternative. Just so that we all knew that there is somebody else that can do this.
By that time, it'll be $25,000 or $30,000 for this service.
That is
Yeah.
correct. I'm sure that goes up every year. So that's the only reason. If something happened to me, you guys know, you can go to Pennington and they could probably pick up where I left off, and you shouldn't miss a beat, which I had been concerned about for a long time, because if I don't do this for whatever reason, I don't know who was going to take over for me. So this kind of is a plus in one respect, where there is an answer to that question, and there is a possibility that somebody else could do it. And and I said to him, I said, well, my gut feel is, this is not something that we're going to do right now. I said, I'm happy doing this, and as long as the board's happy with me doing it, I said, I have no desire to change it. I actually enjoy doing this, so I don't really want to make this change. And he said, well, not everybody has somebody like me to do it, so we just want to make sure that you understand that we are there if you need this type of assistance. He said, we've had other people try to do it on their own and failed miserably, and then ended up coming back to us and signing up for it anyway. And I said, yeah, but I don't think we're failing miserably. I think we're doing a pretty good job now keeping up with database and website and stuff. So he said he understands, but he wanted to make sure that we had this information. And that's all I wanted to do, is present it to you guys tonight, and so you know. Did you have any questions?
Hey, Tom,
Yeah.
I move that we commend Rick Story for an
Jeez.
outstanding job that he's been doing on our database and communications management.
I don't think there's even a need for a second for that.
No.
Second times 10.
Yeah.
Wow, Rick, what a hell of a job you're doing.
Yeah, okay. None of this was meant to be.
No, but Rick, what you do has significant value. Please don't forget that in all the crush that you go through.
Oh, I know.
Thank you.
No.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Everybody's very welcome. I do enjoy doing this, and I'll do it as long as you guys want me to.
We want you to continue, Rick.
Very good.
Not fired yet.
So you guys have this in your back pocket in case something happens to me. That's basically the gist of this.
You know, Rick, you make a good point though, because all of us are expendable at some point. And you know, we've got 1,000 alumni, and certainly there are other guys that have some interest in some of this. And you know, maybe as we move forward, we try to find some of those who are, because it'd be great to, you know, have somebody sort of in the wings that's interested just like you are.
And I think you're right. I mean, that has always been my goal. Every new group of initiates that I get the information from and what their interests are, I look at as a potential for maybe taking over some of this stuff. And as of yet, I had one possibility in the past, and I approached the gentleman, and he said he would be very interested, and then he quit AGR. So that didn't pan out. So you never know, but that's something that I'm always on the lookout for, you know, just somebody that could potentially take over. Because the big problem with Pennington is everything that I've done, it would go away. It wouldn't be there. The website, they won't manage the website I created, so that would just disappear, and they would do their own. They don't use the same email program for email blasts. They do it a different system. So, you know, they would handle that, and they wouldn't be as flexible in doing different forms and things like that we do to try to be creative for summer reunion and things like that. So a lot of that would go away with Pennington, but not to say that they wouldn't do a good job. It's just what is now would not be.
They wouldn't be there to personally interact with us at the functions though, either, like you do.
True. And that's true too. That's true too.
You know, we've been more or less dabbling with Pennington for 4 or 5 years now, and they seem to be determined to get their hooks into us one way or the other.
And that was my impression too, Ron, from the phone call.
Yeah.
If we can't get your fundraising, we're going to get you another way.
There you go. Yeah.
Completely agree with the comments, Rick. You've done an unbelievable job. It started with NEP, and I don't like to give NEP any more credit than he deserves, but you took it to the 100th degree level from that. So you're doing a great job. The question I do have, based on kind of feedback of what you're saying, just kind of triggered in my brain from Al. Who else has access to the database and to the websites, etc., as kind of a backup? Does anybody?
Rick Godke. Rick Godke had been involved in web development for many, many years. And so I made him an administrator. And he says he does not want to get involved unless he had to. But he has a login.
We do have somebody in that. We do have somebody good. I mean, kind of along the same lines, we brought Mr. Bockel in to get on the founder's account and have access to that, because there needs to be somebody else though. So cool. All good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Rick Hyatt has, I created a information sheet with all the passwords and all the logins to everything.
Awesome.
And Rick Hyatt has a copy of that. Whether he's going to be able to find it or not, I should probably find out if there's somebody else that we can give it to too.
Sounds good. Anybody else have anything else on this Pennington approach? Okay, Rick Hyatt, I had him down for discussing the fraternal law update. The only thing I can really share on that right now is that Rick is working hard with fraternal law. We did have an invoice come through for about $2,000 that will work on setting up an agreement with them to write a ground lease for a potential house with SIU. And then also, I saw within the contents of that document that they would charge us between $4,000 and $5,000 for getting our tax exempt status back. And that's pretty dang important in light of what's going on there in Washington, D.C., hiring a lot of IRS agents. Al, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you can just quickly address that so that everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah, the in going through these things with the active chapter, I found out, of course, some multiple things. As I talked to you before, that they lost their tax exempt status by failing to file the proper forms about 10 years ago. And so in trying to get that back, there was a certain number of documents that I was trying to get out of the active chapter. And one of them, in going through all this, I also discovered that the active chapter was non-incorporated. And part of the documents being requested by actually the Internal Revenue Service is a copy of the corporation documents, bylaws, charter, so on and so forth. Anyway, that prompted a discussion that I had with Tom and Rick about that, and we agreed to go get with Rick Hyatt and to have him sort of dovetail the active chapters legal documentation along with the Alumni Association and trying to get that thing straightened out. So I was hoping he'd be on tonight to kind of give us a little more information on where that is, but apparently Tom has seen a bill, so apparently there must be some movement there.
Yeah, and that as a reminder to everybody, that 2,000 comes from the approximate 22,000 that we fundraised for miscellaneous purposes for the house. So that's the beginning of our commitment to some legal fees to keep the process moving along.
Can I add something to that, Tom? I did have
Yes, please.
I had an email this morning from Rick Hyatt regarding sending the $2,000 to Fraternal Law Partners in Cincinnati. And I basically made a check out today while I was at work and it's in the mail today for the $2,000 for the retainer.
Good. Thank you, Jim.
I got a copy of the letter from Rick where he had signed, and he had signed this, and I sent a copy of that along with the check today to them.
And a little bit later on, when we have Matt Kupek and Susan Graham on at 7:30 or earlier, they will probably speak to what we're trying to do here of forging an agreement with the university on a 99-year lease and settling that. And so more to follow. I don't think we have a quorum tonight. Do we, Rick?
Let's see, you have DJ and Taj and you. No.
Nope.
So that old business donations for bereavement, we really can't even bring up for a vote because Rick Hyatt wanted us to leave it to the next meeting. So we'll table that till the next meeting. There's nothing urgent there, but that's what I was going to bring up if we had enough people.
Regarding that, I still just have $150 that's been sent to me for that. So And that's all I've received so far, but,
Okay,
I mean, we can decide how we want to do that. I know it goes to that scholarship fund or that fund for the children or whatever. So even if we do it later on or decide in July, if everybody wants to kick in something too, and then we send the big check then, or however we want to do it. So,
okay, we'll bring it up at our summer meeting. I was thinking, Jim, to clear that off the plate and get that money in their hands. Do you want to just go ahead and send 150?
okay.
Does that
I just
sound
want-
good to everybody?
Because I wasn't at the last meeting, I was in the field, so I didn't know what was discussed then. So,
I think to clear it off the books and we'll just go ahead and send them the 150 and then we'll settle something at summer meeting in a couple months.
okay.
Did you need
Okay,
to go over Jim's financials, Tom?
I'm sorry.
Did you need to go over Jim's financials?
Of course we do. Yes. Thank you, Rick. Jim, can you bring up the financials?
Yeah, I'll bring them up. Hang on.
Rick can, because I sent them or had Diane send them here whenever she got home because I didn't have I've had issues at work. I've got, they wiped out a lot of my email addresses and stuff because we got a new computer system and we're going through a merger. Basically tomorrow's the last day for one bank and we'll start a new one on Tuesday. So only really difference you look at the balance sheet, I added the receivables. I added another month there for the May rent, which makes it 19,000. And I also put the fraternal law partners retainer as a prepaid expense up there for the $2,000 and took that amount out of the operations account. That's the only real change on the balance sheet from a month ago. I said that Reed Memorial donations of 150 are down there under liabilities. So I pay that'll come off of there. Still looking for Rick to get me his costs for the Hawaiian raffle on that so I can zero out those liabilities down there. And as far as if you go to the income statement, the only difference is up there under past due bills collected, that 950 came in and gave us a total of 1,094.50. And then down there at the bottom under expenses, the fraternal law partners retainer of $2,000 was paid today. That's really the only changes in the last month. I paid the rent like I always do, so even though I haven't collected it.
So Jim, the active chapter did not send you rent the first part of May?
No.
Okay, I'll file back up and ask about that situation. I don't know. This makes me shake my head. Okay. Anything else, Jim?
The only other thing is there probably needs to be a motion regarding adding Dale as a person on our accounts. And basically it's not Bank of Wit, it's going to be Bank and Trust Company actually effective Tuesday. So if Rick Hyatt I need to have some type of a motion probably to go ahead and do that. And actually, after we convert over to that, we have the capabilities of originating ACHs. So I can actually set up something where I can pay the landlord directly too. And hopefully the active chapter can set up an ACH to send the money directly to us too. So I think we just need a motion to basically have the three names, myself, Joe, and Dale, on the accounts at Security National Bank, now to be known as Bank and Trust Company. So
Gonna need to do that by email, Tom, since we don't have a quorum?
Yes, I think that's the only way we can do that.
You send out the email whenever it gets approved, then Rick Hyatt can do up something and send it to me, so I got it for the account man, well, tell her it works, so they can have it in the account, have it on file.
What is the Jim, the new name of the bank?
Bank and Trust Company.
Kind of original.
Yeah.
Jim, you said bankrupt trust company?
Okay, yeah, I started.
You know what? You know what I might do if I have to go through the trouble of a email. I might just go ahead and do the thing for the benefits bereavement and do two things at once. If that's all right with everybody.
Might as well.
Sure.
All right, we'll execute and do that. Dale, sorry we can't confirm you tonight, but it should happen shortly. Dale, I'd like to ask you if you'd be kind enough to just introduce yourself to the group, say a little bit about your background, and if you see something about our group that you really want to pursue and have some passion for.
Thanks, Tom. I think most of them on the call know me. I haven't been back all the time, but I graduated at Southern in '76. Was there from '72 to '76, and I'm involved in extension farm management. And my last 7 years was a community president of a bank up here in Monticello and Weldon. And Tom, you called me, or Doug Wood called me originally a week or so ago to see if I could help out on this, and I'm more than happy to try to offer some expertise in some areas that needed. I obviously don't want to step on anybody's toes, but if there's some areas, and you've listed the job descriptions, some things like that. Sounds like your financial committee has done a lot of legwork of stuff that unfortunately has somehow slipped through the cracks for 10 years or more, but we can try to get that going in the right direction. I have looked at Omega Phi last week or so since you signed me up and looked through that. I was interested in a couple things today. I was back on, and the membership went from 27 to 15, and there was like another 10 or so disassociated members. So I don't know if anybody knows about that or what that's all about, but I'm a little concerned about where some of that stuff's all going. But anyway, that's a side point, I guess, here. But anyway, we'll be getting emails every day on the past dues, to the chat, to the national on things. So you're probably getting those too also that are on those lists. So obviously some things have slipped through the cracks for years, unfortunately. But anyway, I'll try to help out where I can.
Sounds good. Welcome aboard, Dale. We appreciate you doing this. And I was going to ask you if you wanted maybe Rick and Al and I to sit down with you sometime in the next couple weeks for a one-on-one training session, or do you feel like you got a good grasp of it?
No, I think I'm just, starting to familiarize myself with Omega Phi, but there's a lot of legwork that you guys have done, Rick and Al and yourself, in terms of the current financial situation that I need to be a lot to learn there. So yeah, no, I'm open to, willing to need all the past historical information of what's going on the best I can to kind of help out.
Sounds good. Rick and Al, what's your availability in the next week on setting up a session with Dale?
I'm okay, I think, every night. I don't think Wednesday next week. I cannot Wednesday.
I'm looking now.
I'd prefer an afternoon if we can do it, late afternoon.
I can't do it Monday or Friday. I'm good next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
How about Thursday afternoon, 4 o'clock?
That'll work for me.
Okay, here.
Yeah, I think that's fine with me. a week from today, next at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll send you a Zoom invite and we'll go through it. And you know, we don't pretend to know everything about a Mega Phi either, but together collectively we can dig into it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I think one quick thing, at least for tonight, Dale, maybe help you with that active list. I think you'll find that there was the reason that number dropped so quickly is those are the guys that are leaving, graduating, you know, not coming back. So,
So those aren't ones that just are active members that quit. They're just they're graduates or whatever
right. Yep.
for the most part. Okay. Well, you guys have done, three of you have done a lot of work kind of catching that up, and that's very much appreciated.
Al and Rick have put in dozens of hours and they've been game changers. Thank you. Okay. We only have about 8 minutes till Matt and Susan come on board. We're going to go through it pretty quickly. Summer reunion, again, for the 100th time, is July 26th through the 28th. The invite is out. Rick, anything you want to share on that real quickly?
So we've got, just so the board knows, it's a 3-tiered payment in the hopes of drawing some of the active members to our summer reunion this year. They're paying the least amount of money. I believe they're paying $40 per person to come. Then the second tier are the alumni that are currently have families and jobs, and they're paying $75 per person. And then some of us older guys that are retired and that we're paying $100 per person. So that's the way Mike Nauman wanted to set it up. And then that's why we're asking for, that's why you have to put your PIN number down, so you know, we know who's who and what tier you're in and how to bill you for it. So and believe it or not, it would have been a lot more complicated for me to try to add a second payment by check. So I'm just doing credit cards or PayPal this time, because if I would have tried to put a check payment in there as well, it would have, I was afraid I was going to make too many mistakes on this form because there was a lot of if statements that I had to make. So I just did credit cards this year and or PayPal. So Taj, that's why you're going to see a lot of that, because it's all going to come to you. I'm a little skittish right now. It's been out for a couple weeks or so now. We've got four people signed up, so I'm hoping we get a lot more, because it's an expensive one.
Okay. That's does anybody else have anything else that we haven't covered that you'd like to bring up before we bring our guest online?
Yeah, Tom, DJ.
Yes, sir.
Didn't see anything in there about the architectural review. I kept forgetting to email Rick and Chuck and ask about how it went with the class.
Okay, well, that's something that Chuck and I can certainly touch base. I just want to mention before, I'll let Chuck talk a little bit, but I've received all but 2 of the architectural PDFs from the 16 people that presented, and I'm waiting on the 2 more, and then I will post it on the website so everybody can review, you know, all 16 presentations. I also have videos of all 16. It's going to take me some time to process that and get that ready so you can actually watch the reviews or the presentations live. So I'm trying to give you everybody the full ambiance is, as if they were there, but basically it went very well. And Chuck, I'll let you kind of touch base.
I don't know where she's at.
Or I can. I will. Chuck might be having problems with your phone. Anyway, Paul Merriman was there, Chuck Schaub, myself, and Chris Clausen was there. And we sat in this room, and 16 people gave presentations. Some of them were phenomenal looking. Some of them were, something we would never even consider doing, but still interesting. Interesting to see all the different perspectives. All of them went out to the site and actually looked at the place, the spot where we're going to build this house, and how much land is available, and where the trees are, where the water, the roads were. So everybody knew how to position the house on there based on wind flow and sun and all of that. So they really did a great job presenting and developing different plans. And Chuck and I were both impressed with some of them, and I could see taking some ideas out of a few of those and combining them into something that we might come up with. It was all one level. Everybody did a one level house. There was no 2 stories. That was kind of one of the requirements. Everybody thought of drainage and all kinds of stuff for the land. So it was very, very well done. Very well done. And I was very impressed with Rolando and his ability to get the guys and girls that presented to think along the lines of fraternity and what it means to be in a fraternity, and how to share the living space with each other, and a house mother, and kitchens, and all of that. So it was a very, very well done presentation, and I really am excited to present it to everybody. And I will send out an email blast when it is finally on the website. And Tom, I just want to let you know Susan Graham is waiting in the waiting room.
Okay, real quickly, Rick, we know what the demographics are of the ag school. What were the demographics of that architecture class?
Oh, okay. I'd say it was 2/3 men, 1/3 girls.
Interesting. We need that demographic in the ag school.
Yeah,
Um,
one of them had a straw and mud construction, which was interesting.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Toby?
Now I can hear you talk.
Okay, I just want to speak real quick. I don't want to keep Susan waiting, but I do want to say they did a fabulous job. Some much better than others. You could tell some didn't put a whole lot of effort into it. For the most part, everybody did, and there were some very, very interesting building layouts. I'm anxious to share that with everybody. We had people that used the parking lots very well. We had some that actually took the parking lots out, even though that wasn't part of the plan. But they did an excellent job of putting everything in there. We put together a list of everything we were looking for as far as number of rooms, office, house mother's rooms, dining, kitchen, all that was included in the list when they started. So they did a good job putting it all together. I was very impressed with the fact that how well these buildings looked. They had some excellent renderings, very, very professionally done. A lot of them have a lot of glass, which is something we need to talk about. The whole front of some of these buildings were all glass, which is very interesting. Everybody, I think, had some kind of outdoor patios, sometimes multiple patios to get out on, which I think we absolutely have to have. We got to be able to get out and do some things outdoors as well. So we'll be anxious to show that to everybody. And I agree with Rick that we're going to use some of them to get some ideas for our final drawings as well.
It looks like I got 2 people in the waiting room, so it looks like Matt is there too.
I think 7:30 be appropriate to bring them on. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Rick, for your report. Bring them on, please.
Will do.
Hello, Susan and Matt.
Oh,
Hi, Susan. Hi, Matt.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Great to
I
see you.
survived this. I survived the semester. I'm really good.
there's no storm tonight, Susan.
I know. Can you believe it? I don't have to go to my phone to get on. But hopefully my internet cooperates because my phone's kicked off twice. I haven't had it phone signal, so I don't know what's going on. I think it's Thursday nights and AGR board meetings that does it.
It must be. We're going to get some fiber optics sent up to Des Moines to help you out.
Well, I have Starlink for internet, so I've got satellite internet.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Just real quickly, I think it'd be really a stroke of courtesy if we can just go through who's on the call, real quickly introduce ourselves because we have some new people on here. And so I'm Tom Meyer and I'm president. Next.
I'm Rick Story. I'm communication coordinator.
Al.
Al Osterland, Financial Task Force
And scholarship.
and Scholarship.
Yes, don't forget that. Ron Brohammer, you're next.
Ron Brohammer, past president.
Jim Miller.
Jim Miller, treasurer.
Tad Davis.
Ed Davis, VP, Petersburg, Illinois.
DJ Martin.
DJ Martin, I'm a board member from Waynesville, Illinois.
Dale Latz.
Dale Latz up here in Monticello, Illinois, Central Illinois, to be voted on as a potential assistant treasurer.
Chuck Schaub.
Chuck Schaub from Texas, working with the architectural committee, working on our new building, hopefully very soon.
Matt.
Yeah, Matt Kupek from SIU in Carbondale.
Susan.
Susan Graham from SIU Carbondale.
And they're both with the foundation. Okay, that sounds good. Without further ado, please give us your update, please.
Sure. And it's great to see everybody again. Feel like it's been forever. Lots been going on, and I know everybody's been busy. And Tom and I had a good call today. Just wanted to give you our update from the university. I guess there are three things going on. One is the demolition of the buildings that we've talked about. We've been pushing hard for the university to take those down this summer. Certainly, and I've engaged the chancellor in those conversations. And I'm encouraged. Tom asked me specifically for a date today. I did not have one. But I'm told the funds are there. It's working with the EPA. They can take two down this summer, and so you know, we're trying to get a date, and that's important not just for this what we're talking about here today. It's very important for the university as well. I told Tom we had the solar eclipse was big in Carbondale in April. We had 20,000 people on our campus, and we had a bus folks. We had busing for them over in the law school parking lot, which is near Old Greek Row. It's right on Old Greek Row, and it's pretty embarrassing to have folks to have to drive by and see boarded up buildings. And when I talked to the chancellor about it, he totally agreed. So we're pushing on that front, Tom. That's first. Secondly, in terms of working with the university, just today, we engaged the consultant to work with us on a plan for Old Greek Road, because one of the pushbacks we have gotten that we've got to look at after everybody. So in consultation with the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, we talked to these consultants. It's called Servitas. It's a big company that's done a lot of housing, a long list of universities. They just submitted their proposal today. And, I think that, Tom, will help move this thing along. Obviously, that's going to be at a much slower pace than we're talking about. But there's a concern about haves and have-nots. Unfortunately, sometimes the university is a way of slowing things down. But we're pretty adamant about your ability to raise these dollars. And, we are very anxious to move forward. Tom and I talked about the kind of the lane that you all would like to be in terms of a 99-year lease and things like that. I believe you've engaged a legal firm to work with a ground lease. Then we would would negotiate with the university. But both Susan and I feel if we can, again, we're going to need to know exactly what the situation would be, but it would be very, very helpful if we could share with everybody that we have launched this campaign. We all are very serious about it, and we have a significant numbers of commitments to move this project forward. So, we think, that's good news. I will tell you, there's still hurdles to overcome. And the biggest one is, in my opinion, the university is also engaging a consultant to do a master plan for the university. And again, the chancellor agrees with me and Susan, the idea that if we can even just start with the 1 year, let's get this one done and we'll go on to others. And Chancellor's interested in renaming it the kind of Saluki Village, not Old Greek Row. But so, Tom, I think we're pushing. And I know it's frustrating for y'all. It's frustrating for Susan and me. But I'd really like to see, those buildings come down. As you and I talked about today, that's good for not only this project, but for the whole university as well. Susan, you got anything else?
No, just thank you, because Matt has carried the weight and the heat on this with administration. Not always pleasant conversations. So it will be good to see those buildings come down. The law school is very interested in making sure those buildings come down. I mean, they just got the largest gift in university history of $10 million, and you've got this vacant, boarded up. One of our faculty members called it. Yeah. Murder houses is what one of our faculty member calls it. So yeah, there's a lot of interest to clean that area up. So, but Matt, thank you, because I know he's a little bit busy and he's carried a lot of heat with this project.
Some been accused of not being collegial. I've been accused of being a bully, but that's okay. And the other good interest, there's significant interest out there amongst other members of the Greek organizations. I've met with, God, I can't remember the name, recently, and they think they can raise the money to do things as well. So I think that's a good sign. Rising tide will lift all ships. And it's we got a lot of work to do still, Tom, but and some, like I said, some hurdles.
Matt and Susan, thanks for coming on tonight. Thanks for the report. One thing I'd like to just kind of throw back into your camp that can help, I think, move the project along and get some people to pay attention to what you're proposing is that done right, there's a potential of 10, 20, $30 million of private investment coming back to the university by Greek fraternal organizations. And that's no small sum. And let's just say it was $30 million. That's 75% of that $45 million that you have put forth for the new welcoming building. And so it's significant dollars out there. And I think that private investment of the dollars we're talking about is going to speak volumes and can kind of help maybe mow down some barriers.
Yeah, I agree totally. This is this would be great for the university. There's no doubt about it, and it'd be a great shot in the arm. That's a beautiful, as you all know, that part of the campus is gorgeous. I did fail to mention I was at my son's graduation at North Carolina State earlier this month. God, there's been a lot going on, and I believe there's an AGR house in at that campus. We took pictures, and I meant to share them with you. But I toured their Greek row. It's very impressive, and they've got a lot of individual houses, but they have some of those apartment townhome kind of things. One of our issues I mentioned is there are a number of these organizations that cannot afford to build a house. And what are we going to do with them? I was told we can't have haves and have nots. I said, well, damn, I'd rather at least have lift some haves and we'll worry about the have nots and lift them up. But it was good to see what NC State has done. And that's one part of this proposal that was submitted today from Servitas. And they've had great experience in doing that. And that of course, Tom, to your point, private funding probably won't cover that, and then that gets to a lot of issues that we won't have time to discuss tonight. But certainly, it would be great for the university, no doubt.
And I know the law schools even mentioned, I mean, I know there's a lot going on over there, but if there were an opportunity, their students would like the opportunity, I'm sure, for housing close by the law school. So,
for sure,
a walking campus.
Yeah.
yes.
Does anybody have any questions?
So Tom, I apologize for interrupting you there. I'd like for us, again, we've got some answers, but really thinking about moving a fundraising campaign or initiative, or thinking about just getting oral commitments. There's we've got to get the ground lease done. I know we need that, and that could, I believe you talking about, maybe it might be a month or so. I know there's a big meeting coming up in late July or that where you and I were talking about having those buildings torn down by then. That would be awesome. So, but I just want us to think about that. We had that screening session. I think Susan and I have some really good information. We've looked at gift tables and everything. And I know, exactly how we structure it. If it's only 40% of the building is for educational purposes, running that through the foundation. So, but I'd like you all to consider, trying to rev that thing up. Either I froze or everybody. Did I freeze? Or...
no, you're not frozen.
Okay.
I think they're all thinking.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, oh geez, that's like, who's gonna talk first?
Hi, Matt. Chuck Schaub.
Hey, Chuck.
Hey, is there any conversation about what these buildings are going to look like? We talked to Susan last time, and we need some kind of guidance here on uniformity. I'm sure they're not just gonna let everybody come in there and pop up any kind of frame structure that they want. Is there anybody putting together some kind of guidelines that we need to follow?
Yeah, Chuck, I believe that would be the role of the Servitas company that would come in and help us do that. Again, that was the request of the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs to engage someone. So I think, yes, we're going to need that, Chuck, and I believe they would be the ones that provide the guidance.
Okay.
Working with our facilities folks.
Right.
You can't forget them. And I will tell you, we've, again, I know this was recorded, so I probably shouldn't say much, but we've had some turnover within that organization, and some very good, decent people have retired. But I had a meeting with them that, you know, I went in there prepared to really go to war, and it was a very encouraging change in leadership. So I think, Chuck, that could be very helpful to us. Rather than feeling like they were our enemies, I felt like we had a chance to work with them, and we're going to need their help as well.
Sure, sure.
What's the matter?
Oh, I've got it recording.
I'll just stop it. I think.
You're unmuted, Ron. We hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No worries.
Be nice to your wife.
Oh, I just want to stop the TV.
And this company, Servitas, they actually, you can see some of their work on their website. So looks like they just did one at University of Evansville, Indiana.
How do
They
you
did an
spell- how do you
underclass
spell that,
housing.
Susan?
Servitas.
Okay, we'll look them up.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, we're ready to put together some kind of drawings that we can present to the membership at some point too. So we're looking for guidance.
Okay, I was going to share kind of a list, of, at least they sent today, of some of the. I mean, it's a pretty exhaustive list of universities they work with. I don't know if someone could disable, or you would even want me to do that, but I'm not sure. But it'd be just.
Yeah, I think, Rick, if you're the host, screen sharing isn't activated.
Okay, let me see here. Host tools. Allow participants to share screens.
Good job, Rick.
That
I don't know
should
that.
do it.
Yeah, gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
I believe you should be seeing soon a screen.
We can see it.
Okay, just this, and I'm not sure there's this thing, it's a very long proposal. I haven't read it all. But just leafing through it, these are some of the universities here, the location, number of beds. Now that could be, I don't know exactly, you know, like with at Nicholls State, 606, the cost. You know, some of these do go back a number of years. And then over on the right's another list is they've worked with a lot of universities. I see Northern Illinois there. I think there's more too here, but just I think, yeah, to Susan's point, it is a very reputable. Rick, is that the right word? Reputable company, and then they have this thing. The rage seems to be this thing called P3. And that not only do they help you to find the funding, a lot of these, they work with the university. Of course, you use bonding for rentals of some of these kind of things as the payment to pay off all that. But so literally just got that today.
Well, Rick, maybe you and Paul and I can get together and take a look at all this at some point.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, that would be. And again, I do think, and I don't want to make it sound like we've got, everybody's tough to deal with at the university. They're great colleagues and they do great work. But I think, Tom, and I do think this land lease is going to be a big next step for us. And we will negotiate together if that's okay. I would need your influence on that. You know, university, talk about a 99-year lease or whatever it might be. And we'll have a show of force, so to speak. And again, I don't want to give there's going to be a battle. We're going into war. But I don't want to it's not totally clear sailing. I'll just say that.
Matt, I kind of agree, you know, since early on, you kind of encouraged us to kind of lead the charge. And I think that coming to the table with a 99-year lease, which is pretty much the most acceptable agreement we can live with and come up with, is a show of force in a gentle way that will put the point across rather than just being ambivalent and saying, well, what do you want to do? What do you want us to do? And, you know, we're actually coming forth with a plan. So, you know, fraternal law, I think, is going to write a agreement that they probably have done with other places. So there's going to be nothing in there that's really out there. And I think it will help sell it because we're going to come across as reasonable people wanting a reasonable deal.
Right. Sounds good.
Well, and by using fraternal law, it's tried and true. They've tried this on other campuses and it holds true that it works. So.
And DJ, they've had them on campus as well, so clearly on university property. They're the ones they've worked with.
Tom? Fraternal law, they have some on campus, right? I think University of Florida is an on-campus one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
as far as I know, yes, that's right. That was on campus. And they actually came from off campus to campus. And we've had multiple talks with them. So so they would be a wonderful litmus test for what we're trying to pull off.
Yeah, and again, I've said this before, and Tom, you and I talked about it today. The university is very interested in bringing all students back on campus, or as many as we can. So, and particularly if we come back and if we've got the resources to construct a building, you know, to start the rise of Old Greek Row into a new Saluki Village or whatever it's called, that's very powerful.
Does anybody else have anything for Matt and Susan?
Your summer meeting's in Carbondale, right?
Yes, correct. The last weekend.
I think I'm on the last weekend of July. Yeah, I think I'm getting off a boat that weekend. So
Susan, you are always traveling.
well, that's our family vacation.
Okay.
We're doing, I can't believe I'm doing it, but I'm doing a Disney cruise for 7 people. So
Susan, I will be in Carbondale.
I'll pray for you, Susan.
thank you. I'm going to need it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the update.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all. Good to see you.
Okay.
Matt, Susan, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. We'll talk, Chuck.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have anything else that or any comments on this discussion we had tonight?
So I missed, you were talking about it when I first got on the call. Anything you need to add from your conversation with Matt this afternoon?
Yes. Rick, before I proceed, are we all clear?
We are all clear.
Thank you.
Good. Always good to chat.
It was interesting that the conversation came up about fundraising because I said to Matt, I said, our membership is pretty passionate around a ground lease rather than a 5-year renewable. And I said, I believe it to be premature to fundraise without this being cemented. And I told Greg Webb that a week ago. I thought he might convey it to Matt tonight or before tonight. Matt came up with the idea that they want to do this fundraising. I say two things to the group, and these are two that I'm willing to climb the mountain on. Number one, we have to have a pretty substantial set of architectural drawings, and we have to have a plan on a agreement with the university before I'm comfortable going out and raising funds. Those are the two things I will die on as far as the mountain goes. And that's how I feel. So I was surprised that came up tonight, knowing how I came across pretty bluntly. But Matt is in the business of raising money, and I get it where he's coming from, but it could not have been clearer to Matt today how I think I'm representing the thoughts of our larger group on those two fronts.
I agree, Tom.
We cannot go to the membership without a plan. We've had too many stops and starts before. I completely agree with you. I also agree with you that his business is raising money. So if he doesn't ask for it, probably not doing his job, but it's our job to go back to him and say, we've got to have way more details and way more of a plan before we ever take anything to the group.
The membership, I don't think is going to be on board with donating anything until they know what their money's going for this time.
Bingo,
Correct.
Chuck. Yeah,
Yeah.
bingo. Once we
And
get a
that's why I've
ground
been-
lease and we get some drawings, at that point, there's something concrete to hang your hat on.
Right. I mean, there'll be some changes as we go along, but
Yeah.
we need something, a drawing. In fact, we can't even price it until we've got some kind of architectural drawing put together. We can take it out for bidding. And then we know what we need to come up with.
So that's pretty much where things stand. And there's
Hey,
only
Tom, can I say one more thing?
of course.
I took a walk through the middle of Old Greek Road there, and I'm telling you, a lot of those houses, I don't know how they could put a one-story house in there and make it work. I talked to this about with Paul and Rick, and I think a lot of those houses are going to have to go two-story in order to get the quality and the side of the house that they want in there. So that may not be totally out the door yet. We may have to go back and look at two-story to make this thing work. And one of the things I was going to suggest, I don't know how far it would go, but everybody has to have an elevator. It's a major expense as far as building one and then the maintenance contract and everything else. Is anybody opposed to approaching Matt and SIU and the foundation for subsidies for elevators to build in these buildings? If they would pick up that subsidy for us? And then that contract would be theirs to maintain in these buildings.
Not opposed to it. I doubt you get it done, but yeah, you can ask for anything.
I mean, just a
And
thought.
Chuck, you're not wrong thinking about the interior of the Old Creek Road. You're not wrong. I mean, they're gonna have to change. They're gonna have to change lots or whatever, and God knows
yeah.
they'll all go. But you're not wrong at all.
Yeah, we have one of the biggest houses, if not the biggest, and the biggest lot, obviously, but most of them in the inside are much, much smaller. That's why the two-story is the only way to go.
Well, you don't know that there might not be that many houses or a need for that many houses moving forward either.
That's true.
So, it's hard to say
Yep.
what the layout of the lay of the land might be.
Yeah, they may be a lot more compact and tighter together this time too. We had a lot of open space in there before.
Because I don't
And they
think
may
really-
shift to a 25-person house rather than a 50-person house.
True. True. I think they're all gonna be smaller, yeah.
Yep.
The Plata survey is just one giant plat right now. There's not a
Yes.
division designed by house
I-
or fraternity or sorority
Yeah.
yet.
I'm just
Yeah.
talking out loud here, but as you guys are saying this, I think might as well ask. They can only say no. When we go for the lease, I think we go for that whole quadrant of land from parking lot to parking lot and
Yes,
to the sidewalk.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
They may
Yeah,
want to
we-
do something different otherwise, but if we're the first, let's get what we want. I want the whole damn thing.
Sure.
No, health service?
No, I don't want health service. So they can have that side, but everything everything the other side of the sidewalk.
No, everything to the health service. That's what I
Yeah,
meant.
to the health service. Absolutely, Jim. Yes.
I wanted to ask you guys something that occurred to me during our conversation with Matt and Susan, and that is, if we have another call with them, which we will, what do you think about, for the sake of having a free conversation, turning the recording off?
Oh, I think we should. If that's creating a little bit of apprehension for him, I think that's perfectly fine.
Mhm.
Yeah, he just didn't want to have on record his talking negative about any.
Right,
Yeah.
but
Totally,
if we-
totally agree with you.
If we can move the conversation along and have a more brutal, blunt conversation, we don't need that portion of it recorded.
I think we
Yeah.
could move to go into executive session. And then once we're done, come out of executive session.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree. I agree. We
That-
do.
That's the way we've done with some other organizations, Tom, is the executive session is somewhat closed.
Okay, let's plan that for the next time around as executive session, and I think we can maybe have even a better, more blunt conversation, because I really think we're on the precipice of some tougher conversations and some more brutal exchanges, and we need to be able to talk freely to each other and by each other.
I just want to say thank you because, guys, he's been pushing really hard. We're not getting any answers from the university if Tom's not pushing them, and I mean he's pushing. So appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Ted.
Todd, did you ever
They went
Did you ever
radio
hear
silent for a
anything
while.
back? Did you ever hear anything back from University Housing? Weren't you trying to set up a meeting with them?
No, I never heard anything back from them, and I would even set way before then. I set off if we had a house mother, could we bring freshmen in? And they never responded, so they have been dead quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something going on between the foundation and University Housing myself.
I think there is
Yes.
too, and it's hard to read the room exactly what is going on.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what Matt told me this afternoon was that Chancellor Austin Lane, since he has he's putting the support behind it, Matt believes that Chancellor Lane could instill some order in the room with University Housing.
Okay. Yeah, in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, I think Matt came out pushing for all this to be done, foundation, funding and so forth, and I think they left housing out of it, and that's created a little bit of a rift there.
I
Well,
think you could be onto
well-
something. I don't know.
Yeah.
One of my concerns about what he said tonight was this organization and people within the university want to have all of this, everything equitable, and all that brings to mind to me is a bunch of Soviet style apartment houses.
Yeah.
And we certainly, not that we need to have a grand castle or anybody else does either. And I think we certainly need to keep the architecture within I don't know, whatever you call that. Everything needs to be reasonable in terms of architecture, but I certainly, I don't see how you can build 25 different houses and every one of them look exactly alike,
Right.
by different individuals and groups.
Right. Yeah,
You're
that's my, that's my snag right now. I know we can't do that, but we don't have any guidelines as to what they want, so we'll get together with this outfit and see what they can do, what they can say. Maybe at some point we can set up a meeting with them.
Yeah.
To me, what he expressed was kind of a DEI woke approach to this whole process, and it worried me a little bit that if somebody was loud enough and outspoken enough, they could derail a lot of good work here.
That's my thoughts
It was
exactly, Tom.
It was stated before, there's a vice chancellor that's very pro what you just described, Al. And that was Susan made that comment, and that's the case. I think
Exactly.
It was call.
Greg Webb shared with me.
I said you don't want to put me in a room with that person because it won't go well. Probably.
Yeah. Greg Webb shared with me the other day that another hurdle that we're facing here is that the new provost that came from Oklahoma State kind of has the bad incident that happened with Alpha Gamma Rho at Oklahoma State in her mind, and you know, and unfortunately, the group that's leading the charge is the same people that did that pretty stupid incident there at Oklahoma State. So you know, there's some people in the room that need to be persuaded, but I'm sure some of these people have a pretty loud voice. Is everybody aware of what I'm talking about at Oklahoma State?
Yeah.
Tom,
Yeah.
refresh my memory.
Was this the dead cow?
Dead cow, yes, sir.
So Alpha Gamma Rho actually did do that?
That's affirmative.
They parked it on the steps of the farmhouse.
Confirmed by Rex Martin. And then what also happened there is they got really stupid. They thought they were being creative, but they created this farcical hiding and showing where people were supposed to be at a moment where they were really somewhere else. And so they did a kind of a very contrived, well-organized ruse to make it look like they didn't do it. But at the end of the day, they did it. And that has created a bad taste in that new hire at SIU.
Yeah, I will add that they didn't kill the cows. I understand they found a dead one and dropped it on the front porch or front steps.
Not going to change the perception, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
Chuck, why didn't we think of that?
all we'd had were pigs. That's why.
Oh, shoot. But anyway, on a more positive note, I want to thank everybody for their time, their energy, their passion, and being on this call tonight. And just basically, thank you.
Yep. Let's hope they tear those buildings down this summer. That'll give us something to at least believe that they're headed that direction.
Yep.
I'd love to have something.
I may overshow my cards, but I'm telling you, if this thing goes into fall semester and school starts and we don't see any action, I'm ready to move a different way. Because I wasn't too hip on this university thing to begin with. So let's see what happens.
Yep. Yeah,
September 1 should be a drop dead date for what we see or don't see from the university.
Well, we'll have the lease. We should have the lease in front of them, I would hope, this summer, right?
Yeah.
Great job, Tom. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Good night,
Sure.
everybody. I'm moving for,
Thank
I'm
you.
pushing for adjournment. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I